taking mental images that you're picking up and transferring them to paper, really. You're following your own perception of what you're feeling and sensing and seeing, really, in what a medium would call your third eye or your mind's eye. It's one of those things with the paranormal, it's not scientific, but the thing is, if it's there, if it's in the mind, then yeah, I'll try it. I'll try anything. It's not like drawing a picture as you would normally sit down with a pen and paper. You've got to keep your mind completely blank. I mean, I'm drawing this, and when I finish it, I'm not going to turn around and say, well, that's the ghost that haunts Galgorm Castle, because I've got no proof to back that up. I'm just bringing forward what I feel is here. To anybody watching somebody draw pictures of supposed dead people, you know, may think you're a bit around the twist. It's not, because I believe that if there is life after death and energy is still here, the energy of people that once lived here is still here, then why can't they communicate that through to us? It's quite feasible to me. Although she looks rather stern, she's actually very friendly, but there she is. She doesn't look very pretty, bless her.
We do know that a girl who worked for the doctor was arrested in Scotland, and I think it was for stealing, and she was accused of witchcraft. And they said, where did you learn your witchcraft? And she said, from the doctor at Galgorm Castle.
Whether Dr. Colville and the servant girl were involved in witchcraft or not, the paranormal team are taking no chances. For this investigation, they've enlisted the help of Warren Coates, an expert in Wicca, or white magic.
As an investigative team, we are quite scientific in our approach, but with this location, we should have some caution and some guidance. Whether we believe in witchcraft or not, I think it's the right thing to have someone with some knowledge on the subject at hand.
I would say there has definitely been some sort of satanic arts or something down here at some stage. You can feel it in the atmosphere, and especially with the stories of sort of practices, sort of like selling your soul to the devil and all like that. There again, it's all come back to a more negative side. So the thing I would say is to everybody be very, very careful when you're walking around here tonight.
Even before the team finish setting up their experiment, a camera records something unusual at the top of the staircase where Dr. Colville's portrait hangs.
Starting our investigation, Roddy, myself and Raymond were going to do an investigation in this bedroom here, and Tony had decided that he'd like to go upstairs to the attic and sit in his own and call out. And just as we were coming up the stairs, I stopped and I said to Tony, are you sure, you know, you're happy going up there on your own? And he said, yeah. And then I walked on a bit and I said, are you sure?
It's just as if there was someone standing there and they just done what you know, they just said what you said. Yeah, they just had to repeat, like, are you sure?
Are you okay to up there on your own?
Yeah.
You sure? And I sort of thought, that must be one of those two. And then I stopped, and Roddy turned to me and said, did you just hear that? And I said, yes. And both of us heard exactly the same thing with our ears.
I didn't jump, it didn't scare me. It was nearly as if there was someone else just standing there.
It didn't scare me either. That's,
and they were repeating,
you know,
the question.
It didn't make me jump or anything like that. Are you okay to up there on your own?
Yeah.
You sure?
It said, are you sure?
Yeah, it was deep.
It was deep, yeah. It was deep. It made me stop for a minute. I thought, is it Tony? No, but it sort of came from this side.
And you heard it too?
Oh, I heard it, definitely heard it. No.
Darren and Mark, we just heard a male voice.
There's no question about it. Like, I know what I heard, and the great thing about it was picked up on the DVD cam.
The paranormal team continued to record throughout the night. By morning, they have some very unusual evidence to show Andy.
We got one voice coming through. We were just talking back and forth on the radio. Nothing in particular of any significance. And there was a voice come through that says, don't do that. And I think Tony actually heard it at the time. He heard that there was something, because he actually, after this voice, he asked if anybody said anything on the radio. But it's not coming from the radio, it's coming from the same room that Tony's in. But I'll play it for you now.
Somebody else just comes over and you and say, okay.
You can hear Tony questioning afterwards, don't do that.
Is that the voice?
Yeah. That's how
very, very, very clear.
That's interesting.
It's interesting that with that one, that I'd heard something at the time as well. You know, we've actually picked that up on audio and we've recorded that as well.
It's strange, isn't it? Because in this building alone, we seem to have heard more audibly.
Yep.
Rather than, because before, you know, when we've done this before, we've had to clean it up and it's never usually heard audibly. It's picked it up on the digital recorder or the camcorder or whatever. You know, but it's being picked up as we're hearing it.
Yeah. And we, you know, that could be a number of things. We don't know if it's because we're more in tune and we're expecting them now. We don't know if it's because the equipment's getting better or the way we're using the equipment's getting better. And it could be a combination of the three.
Or it could be the building, it's a castle. You know, there's an old saying, if these walls could talk. Maybe in this case they are.
The audio recording wasn't the only unexplained event of the night. While filming in a room near the stairs where the ghostly whisper was recorded, the CCTV captured an equally strange visual phenomenon.
This one actually takes place in the bedroom. You can see Roddy on the right-hand side here. It seems to come across on the left-hand side of the screen and travel up across sort of Roddy's head. It could be something illuminated by possibly the camera. It could be an insect. It travels very slowly, but we'll have a look and see.
Far away.
It almost travels in like an arc.
Gets right on
Like
top
an
of his head.
arc-like shape.
Yeah.
Let's play it again.
Let's run that again. Is that going past his head or
It kind of comes up from the bottom of the screen, travels across, and then arcs just up over the top of his head.
It would have been great if it would have went on the other side of Roddy, because then we would have been able to figure out exactly how far away it was.
It seems to have avoided his head, which is quite interesting. Rather than going straight through it, sort of skimmed over the top of him. It's different to some of the orbs I've seen because it seems to have a black sensor. Looks like a flying donut.
Having identified what they believe to be a focal point of paranormal activity, the team decide it's time for Warren Coates to do what he does best.
It's all to do with nature, so it's all using the different elements now out there to basically to help people. So I'm actually a witch myself, so and it's not what people think it is. You know, it's not sort of sacrificing babies at dawn or anything out there. You know.
I think the reason we're setting up in this room in particular is because of pretty much what happened last night. I mean, there was the voice whenever Roddy and Julia had been coming upstairs. And there was the voice saying, "Are you sure?" And it was kind of in response to what Julia was saying. So we're getting some activity here, so it might be a good idea that if we're getting communication coming through, to try that here, see if we can follow through with something else. Okay, we ask if there are any spirits in this room, or indeed in this building. We ask that you come forward. We mean you no harm or ill intent. We'd ask you to come forward and move this glass for us now, please.
The practice of Ouija gained popularity in the 1800s. The name is a combination of the French and German words for yes, a response which so far the team are finding hard to elicit.
Push the glass to the person you would like to talk to. If the spirit is using our energy to move the glass, we really do need to have a smooth surface for that, and we had difficulty with the glass moving, so we had to experiment a little.
Okay guys, we're going to bring some salt up to you. We think that if you put some salt on the table, you'll be able to see better if the glass is moving.
If anything, the salt makes things worse. What's needed is a perfectly smooth surface.
Okay, once again we ask the spirit of the glass to come forward and talk to us. Move the glass.
Okay guys, you need to identify what all the pieces of paper say and you need to point to each one.
Are you stuck here? Please answer yes or no.
Finally, the team are getting somewhere.
Happy enough, we can take that as a yes.
Yep, I think that is a yes.
I think anything else sent.
Is the barrier outside keeping you in here? Yes or no? That's... okay.
Is there an Alexander Colville with us here today? Can you come forward and move this glass for us, please?
Dr. Colville?